So let's talk about what makes a good logo. You might personally love your logo, and that's great. And someone else might love it, someone might hate it, we don't know. But is it a good logo? So first let's talk real quick, like art is subjective. Art, you're gonna have people that love it, you're gonna have people that hate it. It's very subjective. Design's not that way. Design needs to work. And this is where I just love and light up about this subject because it needs to function in the real world, right? Design does something, especially our logos. Those are really heavy pieces. They carry a lot of weight when it comes to our brand. So I've boiled down 4 factors of all good logos. And I also have a little test. So at the end of this, if you want to test your own logo, you're more than welcome. So the first factor of a good logo is visibility. And this is a big one, guys. That means, can it be seen, right? The logo needs to be seen to do its job. So test it for size. See how it looks big. How does it look teeny tiny, like the size of a favicon on your phone? Small. If it's still visible when it is that small, you're doing pretty good. Also test the visibility for color. So make sure your design is not relying on color. It can still work in a one color application, and that the colors that you're using have a high enough contrast that anybody with any degree of color blindness can still see them. And then just make sure that works. If there's any room for improvement on the visibility front, I would address it because that's a really big one. The second factor of all good logos is memorability. Can we remember it? So think about those logos you see down the highway, McDonald's, Target, like those are such simple shapes because they're memorable. They stick in your brain like that so people can remember them. That's huge for businesses, right? Now, the third factor of a good logo is appropriateness. And this means, does your logo make sense for your business? Now, it doesn't need to be so obvious as, say you are a coffee shop and your logo is a coffee cup, but it needs to be appropriate. So think of Nike. They do things for every sport you can think of, right? But their logo is not some crazy hodgepodge of like football and golf and soccer and everything else. It's a swoosh, which shows movement. Everything that Nike does is about movement. They're about athletics, moving. On top of that, that logo mark works so good on the side of a shoe. It was designed to fit on the side of a shoe. That's the core of Nike's business. Super appropriate for them. Now, the fourth thing you want to check for is, does your logo work as a system? Now, the word logo system, you're probably like, what the heck is that? I don't know. I've got like this logo and that logo. You might have a system and not even know it. But a system is when you have different components of your logo and different layouts that work in different applications. So if you think of our friends at Starbucks, they have this green round siren seal. She looks pretty similar to, that poster I have up there. But on the sides of the buildings, you rarely see that mark. You usually see the horizontal word mark that says Starbucks. That's because if they just put that little round siren, and now honestly they can get away with it because they have so much brand equity, you could probably see a green blob and you'd think it was Starbucks. But going back 15, 20 years ago, they didn't have that strong of equity that they needed to still say Starbucks. So their workaround was developing a logo system. So make sure you have something that fits in 4 different shapes. You're going to want something that fits in a circle and or square, something that fits kind of rectangular, and then something that also fits in kind of a long, skinny space. Think of like the header of a website. If your logo is very tight and square, and that's all you have, when it's in the header of your website, it's going to be really small. You're not going to get ample space. So those are the 4 factors of good logos. We've got visibility, memorability, appropriateness, and it must work as a system. So if you have questions on any of this, I'm an open book. There's also a free PDF download in the links below for you to test your own logo and see how you do. Score yourself and let me know. I'd love to hear.